Love Vibes TV. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing fine and you're also having a wonderful love life with your partner. Okay, it's Xmas and I hope you enjoy it with the utmost respect for your partner. I hope you subscribe to my channel. If you have not, kindly click on the subscribe button for me, turn on your post notification bell, like, share and have your say in my comment section. In today's video we'll be looking at why a lot of people tend to be single. Could it be that they have their own reasons? And also we'll also be looking at 8 key features to avoid being single. Okay, we are going to be teaching you 8 major reasons why you are single and how to change from that. A lot of times these factors are coming from us, and I'm going to share with you the same tips and tricks on what you have been doing that you have not noticed. Okay, and you work on it and it will help you have a long and lasting relationship with your partner. So stay tuned and let's get into it.
Clearly, some people are single because they choose to be. They are simply not interested in being in a serious relationship at this time in their life. Others are single due to the circumstances of their lives. They may have just gotten out of a meaningful relationship, or have dated relentlessly, and just haven't found someone with whom they're truly compatible. The point of this article isn't to stereotype all single women or men, or to put anyone in a box. However, for people, particularly those over 30, who are looking for answers to the puzzling question, why am I still single, here are some unconventional answers that lie within. Why am I still single? This problem bothers even the most confident women. You are not alone. It will appear when you fail in a relationship between and at F. 1. You are ambivalent when you have a stable intimate relationship with a man. No matter how much you desire a partner, it can be difficult for you to step out of your comfort zone to be single. I know you think you are uncomfortable, but we tend to look for what is familiar to us. Ambivalence will prevent you from taking the emotional risks it takes to be close enough to a guy to love him, and let him love you. This will keep you from fully committed to dating and create all sorts of evil ways to destroy your relatives. If left without a challenge, you will fall in love with a man who is difficult to reach or with self-sabotage, such as excessive drinking on a first date. Ambivalence makes you believe in all sorts of excuses and rationalizations as to why you haven't met the right guy, and is more likely to keep you in check. 2. You make it more important to find a guy than to find a surprise. It's a cliché, but it's true. You can't rely on anything outside of yourself to worry. If you tend to be a negative woman who always looks at the glass half empty, nothing will change if you find Mr. Right and married him. Yes, you can get drunk for a few months if you are still in the honeymoon phase of the relationship. But soon enough, when your feelings go away, and you start seeing a real man in all his imperfections, you will no longer get the stamina fix. Your negative attitude will return, and you will feel unhappy again. 3. You don't respect yourself enough to set boundaries. Every relationship you enter requires some form of boundaries. Whether at the hairdresser, at the doctor or with mom, there are rules embedded in the essence of relationships. In particular, if you allow men to break the rules they need to feel safe and loved, you will become emotionally confused and upset. Boundaries as distinctions create freedom. If you don't have standards with your relatives, you are exposed to other people's bad behavior. Why am I still single? Is a good question, and you shouldn't be afraid to answer it. Holding on to what's holding you back is the only way to get the love you want. When it comes to dating and relationships, it's hard not to feel that you are a victim. After all, others can be cruel, you will get hurt, and no, it isn't always your fault. But the reality is that we hold more power over our romantic destiny than we often think. To a great degree, we create the world we live in, although we are rarely conscious of this process. We can, in fact, make a choice whether to see our fate through a victimized lens, or choose to be goal-directed and take power over our lives. We benefit from focusing on what we can control and not what we can't. We can become aware of the myriad of ways we influence the reactions we get from others, even the negative reactions. So, the question for the single person looking for love is, what are the internal challenges I need to face? 4. Fear of competition. A lack of self-esteem often leads to fears of competing. It's easy to put ourselves down in relation to others, especially when it comes to dating. When we meet someone we like, it's all too easy to think, she could do better. When we see that someone else is interested in the person we like, we may be quick to back away. We may feel unwilling to compete, particularly as we get older, and we start to have self-attacks like your time has passed, you're too old for this. Our fears of competition can lead us to avoid putting ourselves out there. We may be afraid of looking like a fool or of not being chosen. We may even have fears about winning the competition, thinking we will hurt the other person's feelings or that our success will result in aggression from the loser. The simple truth is, dating is competitive. It is scary to take a chance and go for what we want and compete, but when we do, we most often find it is well worth it to face our fears. We end up with a stronger sense of self, and we increase our chances of creating a relationship with the partner we really desire. 5. Low self-esteem. So many people have spoken to have expressed the same sentiment. They believe they want a fulfilling relationship more than anything, but they believe even more firmly that no one worthwhile would be interested in them. We all possess critical inner voices that tell us we are too fat, too ugly, too old, or too different. When we listen to these voices, we engage in behaviors that push people away. When we remain single, it is not for the reasons that we're telling ourselves. Our lack of confidence leaves us giving off signals of not being open, creating a catch-22 in the realm of dating. Many people even have trouble leaving the house when they're really down on themselves, let alone pursuing situations where they are likely to meet potential partners. Some struggle to make eye contact or are reluctant to scan the room for who they might be attracted to. When they are drawn to someone, they may fail to pursue their strongest attractions for lack of self-esteem. 6. Defenses. Most people have been hurt in interpersonal relationships. With time and painful experiences, we all risk building up varying degrees of bitterness and becoming defended. This process begins long before we start dating, in our childhoods, when hurtful interactions and dynamics lead us to put up walls or perceive the world through a filter that can negatively impact us as adults. These adaptations can cause us to become increasingly self-protective and closed off. In our adult relationships, we may resist being too vulnerable or write people off too easily. If, for example, you were raised by parents or caretakers who were negligent or cold, you may grow up feeling distrusting of affection. You may feel suspicious of people who show too much interest in you, and instead, you seek out relationships that recreate dynamics from your past. You may then choose a partner who is aloof or distant. It isn't always easy to see when we have our defenses up. As a result, we tend to blame our singleness on external forces and fail to recognize that we aren't as open as we think. 7. Fear of intimacy. As my father, psychologist and author Robert Firestone, wrote in his article "You Don't Want What You Say You Want," most of us profess that we want to find a loving partner, but the experience of real love disrupts fantasies of love that have served as a survival mechanism since early childhood. Pushing away and punishing the beloved acts to preserve one's negative self-image and reduces anxiety. Our fears surrounding intimacy may manifest as concerns over someone liking us too much, an understandably irrational reason not to date a person. Or we may punish the other person by being critical, even engaging in nasty behavior, essentially making sure we don't get the loving responses we say we want. The reality is that most people can only tolerate a certain amount of closeness. We are defended about letting someone else in. In effect, on a deeper level, we don't necessarily want the love we say we want. 8. Pickiness. Our own defenses often leave us feeling pickier and more judgmental. This is particularly true after we've had bad experiences, or we were deceived or rejected by a person for whom we had strong feelings. Many women start to have thoughts like, there are no decent men out there or all the good ones are taken. Men may have thoughts like, you can't trust a woman or women are all out to take advantage of you. We may have unrealistic expectations for a partner or pinpoint weaknesses from the moment we meet someone. When viewing the world from critical or distrusting eyes, we tend to write off a range of potential partners before even giving them a chance. We think of dating certain people as settling without ever seeing how that person could make us happy in the long term. A friend of mine felt closed off to a man who pursued her for more than a year. Although she saw him as kind, funny and smart, she convinced herself that he was too into her. She said he was too needy and was sure he would wind up getting hurt by her. She often stated that she just wasn't attracted to him. The men she was drawn to instead tended to be unreliable and emotionally distant. At her friend's insistence, she finally agreed to go on a date with the man who'd been pursuing her. What she found, to her surprise, was a high-level relationship choice, a partner with whom she shared a great deal of mutual interest, and, ultimately, genuine love. What hers and so many similar stories show us is that when we think we are settling for someone, we may not be settling at all. We may actually find ourselves in a relationship that is so much more rewarding than those we have experienced. Ironically, initially we tend not to trust the people who really like us, but when we give them a chance, we find that we've chosen someone who values us for who we really are, someone who can really make us happy.